Furthermore, the Biden administration, speaking of spending your taxpayer dollars on something that shouldn't be spent on at all, on Tuesday, the Biden administration announced that borrowers with the federal student loans of ITT Technical Institute will have their loans forgiven. Isn't that just fun? I hope you guys are happy paying for other people's education as adults. As adults, the education department stated that the college misrepresented the value of its programs. This comes from the Associated Press. The former students are protected under the federal borrower defense rule, established to protect against false advertising and fraud. All ITT Technical Institute students are, as far back as January 2005, will have their federal student loan debt canceled. This loan forgiveness impacts over 208,000 borrowers and passes $3.9 billion to taxpayers. $3.9 billion with a B that's passed on to us, you and I, lovely. For people, I mean, if you have student loans going back 2005, before I even graduated high school, you're doing something wrong. You're doing something wrong. And there might be even people on the viewers of the Bald Brad Show that struggle with student debt. If you're struggling with student debt and you're going on 20 years, I mean, you're doing something wrong here, folks. Close to 20 years. You're doing something real freaking wrong with your finances. You got to figure something out. Get a side job, get a third job if you have to, like me. You could do it to be debt free. Follow Dave Ramsey, 7 baby steps to become a millionaire. You could do it. Again, that's Dave Ramsey. Follow him. At least it's a step in the right direction. Even if you don't believe in all his values, it's a step in the right direction. You don't want to be one of these 208,000 borrowers that still, from January 2005, still have student loan debt they can't pay off from the feds. So now we have to foot the bill for it. Crazy. Education Secretary Miguel Cardona stated the evidence shows that for years, ITT Tech's leaders intentionally misled students about the quality of their programs to profit off federal student loan programs who no regard for the hardship this would cause. So it's our fault. It's our fault that this was misled. So we get to foot the bill for somebody else's problems. Very similar to the bailouts. It was the bank's fault. You know, they were sitting there giving loans, cashing out checks to people that shouldn't be taking out those loans in the first place because they didn't meet the credits. They knew they wouldn't get paid back. So who gets to foot the bill for other people's mistakes? Oh, it's you and I. Common theme with the Democrat Party, common theme with the progressive left. When somebody else does something wrong, you and I have to pay for it. Prime example, what we just talked about on the show yesterday, where you had a school system that's going to axe and get rid of white teachers first, even though they're more qualified, even though they have more experience, or in favor of keeping minority teachers who might be new, have no experience, because of the past discriminations that happened. So the injustices of the past have to be paid for by those in the current, which is what's happening here. There was injustice in the past, so us in the current that had no involvement in this. I didn't decide to go to ITT Tech. I didn't decide to make that student loan. I didn't decide to take out that debt from the federal government, but I have to pay for it still. We have to pay for it for somebody else's problems, for somebody else's mistakes. It's so common to have to do it. It's ridiculous. Again, I feel like that's the common word, ridiculous. We're in the upside down. It's head spinning. It's mind bending. It's the common theme. It's batshit crazy, folks. The education department accused the school of using high pressure tactics to enroll students. As a result, the department ruled that the ITT Tech could no longer enroll students using federal loans. The ruling forced the college to close its 130 campuses across the United States in 2016. I mean, you put people in high pressure situation and tactics to enroll students. I mean, I'm not saying those situations couldn't have happened, but it's like it's a mutual understanding between the business person and the consumer, right? We'll call it the consumer, the student that's enrolling. I mean, you're the one that should be doing the research. You're the one that should be looking at potentials of what happens after ITT Tech. You shouldn't just believe the institution that you're taking it from or that you're going. Like if USC, where I got my master's degree from, was like, these are all the perks, which they do. These are all the alumni. These are all the connections you're going to have. Do you think that I just took their word for it? Do you think I was like, hey, you know what? You're right. You're the ones that want my money, a private institution paying $60,000+ for a master's degree. I'm going to believe everything you say. Hell no. I did my research. I talked to people that went there. I looked at what other institutions have to offer. I did more research. So this whole idea that there's a high pressure situation that you're sitting there going, oh, you're twisting my arm, man. I guess I got to go ITT Technical Institute. It sounds silly. It sounds silly. But again, because people make silly decisions, who has to pay for it again? Obviously, you and I do. Banks make silly decisions. What do we have to do? We have to pay for it. The president makes silly decisions, like signing the $740 billion Inflation Reduction Act. Who has to pay for it? You and I do. It's just constant where it's money out of our damn pocket and we don't get to reap any of the reward. At least when we build freaking roads that we're driving on, we get to reap the reward of driving on the damn nice road. This stuff, you never see it. How much damn money do we spend that you and I never get to see? We never get to reap the benefit of it. Police department, we reap the benefit of having that protection and security in our communities. Tax dollars well spent. Tax dollars well freaking spent. But not this stuff. The news outlet reported that investigators discovered evidence that the school misled students to believe it would be easy to get a job with a degree from their institute. Really? Look, I'm not bashing on ITT Tech, but folks, it's not like Harvard. It's not like Yale. So I don't want to bash on it, but it's like going to community college. Like, hey, man, you go to community college, you're going to be getting paid 6 figures walking out of this bad boy with your freaking basket weaving major. Like, there's people that will believe that, believe it or not. There's people that sign up for these majors, basket weaving, lesbian dance theory, and they think they're going to walk out of college with like 6 figures. And they realize they can't get a job because nobody's hiring because it's basically a niche environment, a niche job, a niche sector. They can't get a job for it. And the job doesn't even pay 6 figures. It's like $30,000 and they just spent $250,000 on an education. But it's all our fault. So you're going to pay for it because some people made an asinine decision. If I make an asinine decision, why don't I just go buy a $20 million house, take out that loan? Oh, oops, I messed up. The bank twisted my arm, you guys. They said that I would be able to pay for it looking at my budget. They said that I would be just grand old fine, even though I couldn't even pay the property tax on it. So you know what? Because of that mistake, I think that my mortgage loan should be, I don't know. I think it should be canceled. I think there should be forgiveness. And I think you as a taxpayer should pay for it. How's that any freaking different than what took place here? You got swindled. You got wooed. So why should we have to pay for what took place there? That's my question. Where does it end? Where does it end? Previously, the Education Department canceled $1.9 billion in federal loan debt for ITT Tech students who applied for relief. With the new broad cancellation announcement, borrowers will not be required to apply to have their debt forgiven. Chief of Federal Student Loan Aid, or just federal student loans, Richard Conrad, accused the college of defrauding hundreds of thousands of students. He said, by delivering the loan relief students deserve, we are giving them the opportunity to resume their educational journey without their unfair burden of student debt they are carrying from a dishonest institution. So far, the Biden administration has canceled $32 billion of student loan debt for 1.6 million borrowers, and that number keeps climbing. Isn't that just lovely? Don't you just love where your taxpayer dollars are going this year, folks, for the last 2 years? In the pockets of other people, whether they got wooed or not. Sorry, it's not my fault. It's not my problem. Last bit of news. I guess it's kind of good news here for those that are Trumpies, for those that are on the Trump train like myself. Liz Cheney is in the news. The incumbent Republican. Well, folks, she's been defeated by Harriet. Is it Hagman? Somebody let me know in the comments. Hopefully I'm saying that right. But yeah, she's been defeated in the GOP primary for Wyoming's at-large congressional district. I mean, I don't even know what she was thinking. Like, Trump is beloved by Republicans and conservatives for the most part. I'm not saying there isn't like a better candidate, i.e. Ron DeSantis, but Trump's up there, folks. The guy puts America first. He's the man. Okay, he's awesome. He goes after the news, the fake news media. Jim Acosta, you're sick, Jim. How do you even have a late night show, Jim? You got the ratings are abysmal. The Bald Brad show on YouTube gets better views than you do, Jim. Bald Brad has more subscribers than CNN Plus does, Jim, but you're going to sit there and tout this your fake news. So, look, I don't know what she was thinking, push this whole January 6th debacle. If Trump really did something bad, which I don't think he's done, I wouldn't vote for the guy. I wouldn't be supporting him. I don't think he's done anything bad. I've seen the January 6th. Everybody in America's seen the freaking January 6th stuff. We've heard about it relentlessly since. From the Democrats, the news outlets, they're all in bed with the Democrats. They rub their shoulders and their feet. They lacquer them up on a weekly basis. We all have to hear about it. Nothing happened from the Trumps. Nothing happened from Donald Trump because he didn't speak as quickly as you would have liked, as I would have liked. You're going to sit there and push this whole thing because he said, go do things peacefully, and they didn't. You're going to rip the man. So I don't know what she was thinking about even trying to run again. You knew you weren't going to win, Liz. You knew nobody likes you. So this whole thing's being pushed here, that this January 6th thing, she's still going to go after Trump, yada, yada, yada. So check this out. The Decision Desk HQ has projected Harriet as the victor in the widely watched contest. Cheney, who was one of the 10 House Republicans to vote in favor of impeaching then President Donald Trump last year in the wake of the January 6th Capitol riot, was ousted from her role as House Republican Conference chair last year. She is one of the 2 Republican lawmakers sitting on the House Select Committee established to investigate the January 6th episode. There's nothing there, and the fact that you would even try to recover from what you've done is just asinine. It's so silly. Democratic lawmakers had urged people to vote for Cheney in the GOP primary. Just let that sink in. It wasn't Republicans urging people to vote for Cheney. Democrats were voting for a Republican to be put in the GOP primary. Let that sink in for a second. Who do you think's side is she on here? Do you think it's the Republicans, of which she has the R after, or do you think it's the Democrats, of which she is after the D with her? Okay, I'm trying to be careful in the way I said that because I don't want people to think the D meant dick and that she's getting the dick from the Republicans. That's not what I'm trying to say here. She just has the D from Democrat. I just want to be clear here because there's some weirdos that watch the show, okay? I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Some of you guys write some weird things. I just don't want to be misunderstood by somebody and they get clipped and then this whole thing happened, okay? So Democratic lawmakers are urging people to vote for Cheney in the GOP primary. You have Representative Dean Phillips of Minnesota encouraging people to please consider temporarily switching parties and voting for Liz Cheney on or by August 16th. Bro, what do you say? I mean, I'm speechless that we're in a time where literally Democrats are telling other people just to switch over to the Republican side to get Liz Cheney in because of the January 6th debacle. After escaping the Capitol on January 6th, a few of us huddled in a safe room, glued to a TV in disbelief. It was there that Liz Cheney vowed to hold those responsible to account. Her principles transcend politics, and I'm inviting Wyoming Democrats and independent voters to do the same on August 16th. Well, it worked out just great, didn't it? So these Democrats are rooting for Republican all because of January 6th. By the way, I wasn't for January 6th. I wasn't for what those idiots did. They can claim they're conservatives and Republicans all they want. They're not. Those aren't values where conservatives and Republicans do. Yet a few idiots that went inside and did some stupid things. The vast majority of them stayed outside. They did whatever. Not even saying I agree with that. I'm not one that's really in the protesting myself. But if that's what people want to do, that's what they want to do. But I wasn't for the January 6th debacle. I just want to be clear. Again, I don't want to be clipped. I don't want to be people coming at me, oh, you just one of those Trumpies that are for January 6th. No, I think a lot of things could have been handled differently from the man. I don't think it's worthy of a January 6th committee. If they're going to do that to him on January 6th, like I've said endlessly, as well as Dan Bongino, Fox News, The Daily Wire, Blaze Media, where's all the investigations on Biden? Where's all the committees on Biden? Where's all that stuff? It doesn't go both ways. Former Republican President George W. Bush had given the maximum allowable donation of $2,900 to back Cheney in the primary. Money well spent, Bush, because look what happened, you knucklehead. According to the Houston Chronicle, which noted that Karl Rove also shelled out the maximum donation, Rove served as a senior advisor and deputy chief of staff to Bush. I mean, Bush is just, look, he's not a big fan of Trump. We get it. I'm not a big fan of Bush currently, just the things that he's coming out and saying, but he's going to back Cheney. What a knucklehead. Cheney is the daughter of Dick Cheney, which obviously makes sense why he'd probably back him. And I don't even remember the actual friendship and the working relationship that Dick Cheney and George Bush had. I don't know if it was a good thing. It's not one of the biographies or autobiographies that I've read. I know that the way Reagan ran his administration was quite unique, where he didn't necessarily micromanage. He left a lot of the duties up to his staff. Great book by Reagan. It is freaking long. It's so detailed. It's mind blowing. It's by Lou Cannon, but it's about Ronald Reagan. So again, Lou Cannon, I think it's LOU Cannon. It's like 1,700 pages, super in depth. It goes over everything, goes over conversations of Reagan. Phenomenal book. But there might be a similar one out there with Bush and Cheney. I might look into and maybe do a book review on it. Former President Donald Trump has endorsed Hagman last year while calling Cheney a warmonger and disloyal Republican, as well as a rhino, which is an acronym of the phrase Republican in name only. Yeah, I agree with that statement. Republican in name only. I mean, the values I don't think she upholds. Again, she's pushing this whole thing that I don't think needs to be pushed. But there you have it. That's an update of what's going on with Liz Cheney. She's ousted. She's gone. See you later. As the youngsters would say, bye, Felicia. You ain't coming back. So I hope you enjoyed that clip from the Bald Brad Show. If you did, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all our future content.